Hello YouTube, this week I've got the keys to a 2018 Nissan Maxima. Let's take a look. First thing I want to mention is if you do like this video, please click the like button and please subscribe to my channel. I've got a ton of videos for you. So this is the 2018 Maxima. This is an SR version, which is almost the maximum. Platinum is is their maximum. This one here is about 44,000 Canadian. There are rebates right now, but that'll probably be gone by the time this video gets posted up there. But basically, you're looking with taxes in Ontario, anyways. You're looking at $50,000 for this car on the road. So 44,000 plus taxes and that. So you're about 50 grand. It's a large family sedan. It is quite a big car. Front-wheel drive, 3.5 liter V6. It's got 300 horsepower, which is quite a bit. And I believe it's 265 pound-feet of torque, something like that. It's powered through a CVT transmission. This is one of the better CVT transmissions on the market. Keeps the revs low and on the highway and keeps the fuel economy good. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it also allows you to put the power down. And it's quite a good-looking car. A ton of space inside. Pop the trunk here. You'll see nice large trunk. And the seats do fold 60/40. It's not a ton of room because there's a lot of bracing. They kind of make this car somewhat sporty. It's not really a sports car, but the Maxima has always kind of been known for being kind of a sporty car. You've got these tethers here, and this is to pull that seat down. It's not well labeled like some cars. Some cars with like a plastic handle and it has a little picture of a seat. Just a little tether there. Come around the side. You'll see that that's pulled that down. You'll see these kind of suede inserts on the seats. So that's pulled that down. You'll see how you lose quite a bit of space here for that. So it's, you do have an opening, but it's just not that large. Let's go inside. So in the back here, there is a ton of space. This is where my seat is. Mat pockets. You got a couple of USB ports down here as well. The back seats are actually pretty comfortable. There is these are kind of short on the back, a little bit short here. And, compared to the front anyways, I'll explain that in a minute. But a ton of legroom. Excuse me. You've got a couple of cup holders here in this armrest. And you'll see, as I mentioned, these nice kind of plush seats. Pretty nice seats. Lots of padding in them. You can see this view of the front here. And, it's not a bad looking car. It does have a funny smell. I don't know if it's the leather, the suede, but it does kind of have this smell about it. It's not a bad smell. It's just it's strong smell of the leather or whatever it is. No sunroof, which is a little bit odd. In a vehicle like this for $50,000, I find that a little bit odd. Something that I think is kind of missing from this one. Let's go take a look at all the features up front. So we'll kind of start up the car here. Nissan Connect. It's not actually running, but you get the systems going just by putting in accessory mode. You'll see here. Actually, I'm going to have to start it looks like, to get everything. So let me start this up. And you'll see nice little swirly Maxima on the dash. So you're kind of ready to go. There's the drive computer. Nice and large in the middle. And you can flip through on the steering wheel here. You can flip through a whole bunch of different things. Oops, that's the wrong one. This button here. And you can see there's a whole bunch of menus down there. And a whole bunch of things. And then you've got this sport mode, which will show you the speedometer right in the middle. And it says power. And that actually comes up automatically. So let's switch out of here. So if you hit the sport button, you've got normal and sport here. Hit the sport button and you'll see it goes into sport. And it goes to the sport display. And it says hit OK. And you'll be at the sport display. Or no, so that's it. Skip the sport display. Anyways, that comes up. So you got a whole bunch of stuff in here. As I mentioned, so it's got a 3.5 liter V6, and I've done a lot of actually stop and go driving this week, and still 8.4 liters per 100 kilometers. Super impressed by that. Just pure highway, I was getting below 8. So that was really impressive to me. The gauges here are really nice. Big speedometer, and gas gauge on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, you got your temp and a nice tach. It is a CVT, so the tach is kind of just giving you information. You can paddle shift. The paddles are very large, as you can see here. Nice big paddles. They don't move with the steering wheel, though, which is a Nissan thing. Even the GTR, they don't move with the steering wheel. You've got your push button start, automatic shift lever here. You've got this very deep thing here, that storage space with 2 USB ports and auxiliary. You can see it is pretty deep. You can get your hand in there. But it is creaky. See? So it creaks, and it doesn't creak too much when it's just closed, but there is some creaking there. And the whole kind of dash, all this stuff kind of creaks. And the one thing we notice is this is weird. So you've got your buttons here, and the whole thing goes down, not just the one button. It's just odd. I mean, it works fine. It's just odd. You've also got this touch pad on the top here. Well, it's a button pad, really. And again, the whole thing goes down, but then you've got various zones. Oops, I went and did something there. Anyways, you got various zones to press on there, and you can move this up and down and around. You can spin it, and then I'll show you here. You can spin it, you can move it up and down, around and around, and you can press the middle of it. And then, but you can do all that with this control, which is kind of nice, I guess. But it's just easier just to press the damn screen. I don't understand. Now they're giving you both. Like, they used to only give you the screen, and then some manufacturers now are only giving you this, and this one has both. So whichever you like, the screen or pressing this, whichever one you want, you got a choice of that. You do have heated and cooled seats for both the driver and the passenger. So you got heated and cooled. And these suede seats, which look sweet, they're very, very hot in the summer. Like, blistery, crazy hot. As soon as you sit in here, you have to turn the cooled seats on. They do work, but, because they're super plush, these seats, they take a while to kind of come through, but you definitely need them. That's one thing for sure. The other thing about the seat is, I'm trying to get the steering wheel out of the way to get the camera in there, if I can. The seat here, this front part moves forward and back. So if you got super long legs, it'll kind of support you. I don't have super long legs, and no matter how much I push it back, it's not enough for me. I find it's kind of digging into the back of my knee, just a little bit. It's not too bad, but any shorter than I am, and you're really going to be annoyed by this seat. It took me a long time to get comfortable in this car. It's got a lot of adjustments. The seat does pretty much every adjustment you can imagine, and the steering wheel, it does telescopic, and it tilts, and it does all that stuff. But I still found it very hard to get a comfortable position. I found I was either too close or too far. The steering wheel was too close, or the pedals were too far, or the pedals were too close, and the steering wheel was too far. I don't know. For some reason, I had a hard time in this car. I don't usually have a hard time doing that. Navigation system, I haven't played with it much, surprisingly. I've driven the car a lot, but I haven't really played with it much. I've just kind of driven it, and I did notice you can configure this screen, and you can put different buttons in there. So see, there's no buttons here, and you can edit this, and you can add in more buttons, and you can, anyways, there you go. So I can remove this one, yes, delete it. So then save that, and then now when we go back to that screen, it'll be gone. So that one's gone now. So you can do that. There's a whole bunch of settings in here, like any car now, especially in this price range. You got a ton of stuff. It's a little bit slow, but it works well. It's got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay in there as well, which I think are probably the best feature to have. You can just plug in your phone and forget about all the car stuff itself. The map, it's got navigation. It works. And you can pinch to zoom, which I like. So that's kind of nice. How does it drive? That's what's pretty important, right? So again, I forgot to mention here, we've got a sunglasses holder, and I wanted to mention these sun visors, which are weird. They're very small, but they do slide, so you get a lot of adjustment. And one thing I noticed is you can kind of adjust and throw it back down there because it's small, and that was actually useful for me. So that's interesting. So as I just said, how does it drive? Well, let's take it for a drive, and I'll kind of show you. So the engine in this thing, the 3.5 liter V6 that, you know, they've been improving for decades now, basically. Ton of power, as I mentioned before, 300 horsepower, really gets this car moving. If you turn the steering wheel and you accelerate in this thing, it's just going to rip the tires to shreds. If you accelerate very briskly from, say, 60 kilometers an hour to 100 kilometers an hour, the torque steer is massive. So I'm going to do that. I'll just pull out here, and then I'm going to hammer the gas, and you'll see the steering wheel shakes around, and I didn't do that on purpose. That is torque steer. So there's just so much power going to the front wheels. It's pulling you in either direction. For the most part nowadays, any of the front wheel drive cars, they've solved that. It doesn't have torque steer, but this, I don't know if it's just because there's just so much torque and power from this engine. But again, I'm going 60 kilometers an hour right now, just cruising along. I'll wait for this car to go past because it gets kind of sketchy, and hammer the throttle, and it just revs up and it pulls you along. Like, you have to keep two hands on the wheel. If you don't, you're just going to be in the ditch or something. I almost ran into the car I was passing the first time I did it, because I just didn't realize that was going to happen. So keep your wits about you if you're driving this car and you're slamming the throttle down. That's for darn sure. But as I said, it's super fast. It's quiet, great highway drive, excellent fuel economy. Suspension is stiff, very, very stiff. Not so much on kind of floaty roads. It'll float a bit, but as soon as you get into kind of any rough, choppy stuff, it is so stiff. I was like, for a sports car, I'd be like, yeah, okay, expected. Just in this type of car with a very long wheelbase, very large car, and, you know, kind of family sedan category, I didn't expect it to be as stiff as it is. I just find it kind of out of character for the category. The other thing that should be mentioned about this car is it is a big car, and because of that, it's pretty tough to park. Visibility is great. Backup camera is excellent. So, you know, visibility wise is fine. It's just, it takes a lot of turns to get this car around. It's kind of like driving a full-size pickup truck. When you drive it in a parking lot, if it's tight at all, I found like I was back and forth, and I was trying to turn into parking spots, and I'd turn in and be like, nope, gotta back up and turn again. So I just found, because the car is so big, so long, the turning radius isn't that great. It's pretty big turning radius. It's just a little bit difficult to drive in tight spots. So there you have it, the 2018 Nissan Maxima, 50 grand for the SR version. So the base model, which is SV version, is about $43,000. So it's about $7,000 more. So with taxes and everything, that is. So it's quite a bit more expensive. Ton of features. Missing a sunroof. That's a little bit odd. Big car to drive. Cars are kind of getting out of favor right now. Everybody kind of looking for an SUV. You know, Ford's getting out of the car business, and I could see other manufacturers kind of reducing their cars as well. These big cars are getting kind of rare. But if you're looking for a big family sedan, and you're looking for one that's fast, this car should definitely be on your list. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.